Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. International break. It means 115 charges talk. It means let's have a pop at Manchester City. We've got nothing else to talk about, so let's take some shots at Man City while we're bored, showcasing how little we actually know about the legal side of what's going on with the 115 charges and humiliating ourselves in the process. So that, of course, means it's that time again on this channel for us, City fans, to laugh at them while they all talk about it and we go, ha 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 ha. They know precisely fuck all, absolutely nothing. Let's have a listen to this Everton fan who wants Manchester City's legal fees to be included in PSR.
All right, Mark.
Marky Mark. Marky boy.
I'd like to ask Kieran, what about the hundreds of millions of pounds that Manchester City have spent in legal fees? Why isn't that, in the profit and sustainability? Because surely it's to do with running the club, isn't it?
Well, they have incurred very substantial fees. That they've not broken those fees down in the accounts. Until that has been settled, we don't know whether that's allowable or not for PSR. But I was looking at the Premier League's accounts last week. Their legal costs have gone up from 6 million to 46 million.
Oh my God! What, in 1 year?
Yep.
Premier League.
Premier League, yeah.
God.
We're all in the wrong business, guys. We're all in the wrong business.
40 million in 1 year. It's gone up.
Yep.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Jason couldn't. Oh, my fucking brain! Oh! Oh! Can't fucking believe it! Can't believe how black. It's so good. This video is just comedy gold, man. Jason Cundy's mind just imploded at the idea that the Premier League's legal fees have shot up by £40 million. He's that shocked. He dies later on in this video. He actually dies later in this video from the sheer bamboozlement of that information. You've got to keep watching this. This is funny, man.
You've got the Premier League they had the dispute, Mark, with your own club Everton, with Forest, with Leicester, and the Manchester City one is going to be the big one, and the repercussions for that we don't know because there's just been a settlement between Everton and Leeds where I think Everton have given a financial settlement because when there was a breach of the PSR rules a couple of seasons ago, Leeds finished below Everton, and you get £3 million per place. So Leeds said, well, hold on, if the points deduction, it's not a relegation issue, but if the points deduction had taken place last season, we'd got an extra £3 million. So they agreed to settle that. If that then applies to Manchester City, you're going to have clubs going back for a period of 9 years. I think there's 29 potential clubs that could claim that, well, if Manchester City had been allowed to spend less money because of PSR in those seasons, we would have won the Premier League, we would have qualified for the Champions League, and it will open up a legal minefield that we've never seen like the likes of before.
Wow. So look, what is the situation with Manchester City right now? Has it all been settled? It's all gone away?
No. The commission finished its hearing last December, so we are now 10, 11 months into settlement since then.
Sorry. This is Kieran Maguire, football finance expert, by the way, who's trying his best. Trying his best to have a level, a nice, mature, and you're not going to get mature on this channel, by the way, but, I mean, having a nice, level-headed, mature conversation about football finance and the legal matters that are preceding Manchester City. Of course, then Jason Cundy couldn't believe the amount of money that the legal fees has gone up, that he has to leave the room to die, thinking, I know, I'll be nice and polite. I'm going to go outside and quietly die in a corner. But we can all hear you, Jason. We can all hear you. And even Kieran Maguire's like, what the bloody hell is he doing?
11 months into settlement since then. And there are effectively... We talk about 115 charges. There's three things. First of all, there's an accusation by the Premier League that Manchester City received money from the owner and pretended it was sponsorship money.
Right, let me just point you out. I mean, Kieran Maguire, well-respected football finance expert. This is, of course, Stefan Borson, that I'm sure most of you are aware of who he is. He's a City fan. So this is a non-Manchester City fan now talking on the matter. If I was Kieran Maguire, I would ask next time I come on TalkSport, could I please have the show not be with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy, please? Please. Because you've got Jason Cundy who's dying, and then Jamie O'Hara, he doesn't have a Scooby-Doo. Not a clue what's going on. He can't concentrate. He doesn't understand what's going on whatsoever. Just watch him. He asks a question and he's looking at Kieran Maguire like, and there must be like a fly in the room or something. He just looks at the guy's eyes like, oh, sorry. He just can't concentrate. He's like a squirrel that's just seen a nut roll down the garden.
The second accusation, and I think this is not dissimilar to what we've seen in terms of the accusations at Chelsea, is that City were paying people off book. So the money was going to either players or players' agents, and it wasn't going through Manchester City's books. That kept Manchester City's costs artificially low, which allowed them to comply with PSR. And the third accusation is that Manchester City haven't cooperated with the Premier League. City turn around and say, well, why should we cooperate with you? Because we believe that all of your charges against us are on the back of somebody hacking our IT system. So under those circumstances, why should we assist you? So that's where we are.
I mean, there's a couple of things there, ultimately. Let's get serious. Let's get serious. Serious now. But Kieran Maguire's point there, I've got a bit of an issue. One, I think he's actually, there's truth to the fact that City shouldn't accept that the all of the information, all of the case, the foundations of the Premier League's case is based on a hacker, Rui Pinto. Now, let me ask you this question. It's something I've always maintained throughout the entire of this case, is what's more plausible, okay? You're talking about a sea, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of executive officials all staying quiet over the case of Manchester City's accused charges, all of the charges and all of the official executives that are involved in all of the companies, not just Manchester City, obviously all the execs in Manchester City Football Club, but all the sponsorships and all of the overseas executives that were involved in the sponsorship deals. Are they not involved? All of those people are now being kept quiet. Not a single whistleblower. Yet apparently the whistleblower is more plausible as a Portuguese hacker that was facing a suspended prison sentence. That man, of course, is Rui Pinto. What's more plausible? Some bloke in his room with a keyboard and a laptop hacking into Manchester City and then spreading misinformation. One guy, one mouthpiece doing that, or hundreds of executives being kept quiet. What's a harder job? You know, I don't think you can keep them all quiet. How is that possible? How is that plausible? Yet, most of the rival fans that have lapped up this case have sided with the Portuguese hacker. Foolishly, first of all. Foolishly. And now, we're in a situation where we've got Everton fans ringing up and asking, why can't the legal fees be included in Manchester City's PSR? Because that's also part of running a football club. But he's failed to understand that if City win the case, don't City have legal fees? So if the Premier League's legal fees have gone up 40 million, let's guess roughly Manchester City's are there or thereabouts the same, I would imagine, maybe a little bit more potentially. Who knows? It depends on who you've employed, I'm imagining. But let's roughly guess they're the same. So there are £80 million legal fees been spent by both parties on this case. The loser has to pay for the opposition. So, the Premier League could end up with £80 million legal fees at the end of all of this, while the Everton fans ringing up and asking for Manchester City to pay for, or at least pay for their own and include it in PSR, failing to understand that it's actually going to be the Premier League that could end up paying for it. And then the other point is the failing to cooperate. First of all, yes, what he said was absolutely accurate. Why would you want to cooperate with the Premier League when they're the ones accusing you and using information from a hacked source? Which is, a ridiculous piece of evidence. But Manchester City are not saying that's the reason, though. They're saying that the failing to cooperate is not coming from the fact that we've not handed you all of the information you asked for. The Premier League requested a set of documents to be handed over to them by Manchester City, Manchester City's documentation and financial bookings, to say, here you go. And that's what we did. We gave it them. Wasn't enough, though, because they wanted a smoking gun. They wanted incriminating evidence. So how's that failing to cooperate? Failing to cooperate, what you mean incriminating yourself. Manchester City have failed to incriminate yourselves. That's what you mean. That's the point you're after. You're not after failing to cooperate bullshit, and I'm sure we'll probably get done for that because we've been tight-lipped on this situation and said nothing. But ultimately, Manchester City have not failed to cooperate if we've handed over our documents. We've just not handed over the smoking gun. There is a long way to go on this case, and we've got people dying in studios as a result of this. Literally, bamboozle. Jason Cundy's head implodes as a result of this, and you've got Everton fans like, where's the PSR on this one? I love it. I mean, straight away, that man right there, Mark the Everton fan, is the exact reason why every one of these videos is filled with, I've heard enough, dock Everton 15 points.
This is typical City now, holding up silverware.